Welcome to the Stump City Bowling Show, your home for all things bowling. News, results, opinion, and much, much more from right here in New York's capital region bowling scene, all the way to the professionals. So lace up those shoes and let's get on with the show. Here's your host, a man that is much better at talking about bowling these days than he is on the lanes, Toby LaGrange. Welcome to the first episode of the Stump City Bowling Show, hosted by yours truly, Toby LaGrange. This week, we're going to take a look at one way we can make Capital District bowling more successful and ensure that it's around for generations to come. Then we'll take a look around the local and national bowling world and introduce you to the segments that will make up this show each and every week. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to each one of these shows. And, of course, talk about it with your friends and get them to watch too. Enough talk, let's get started with episode number 1. Let's get started with our topic for this week, and that's going to be bowling and social media. More specifically, Western Capital District bowling and social media, or just Capital District bowling and social media if you would like. But we are going to concentrate mainly on the western side of things. And it's going to ruffle a few feathers, but that's okay, because it's something that needs to be said. Social media is something that's not going away, and some bowlers, on the professional level and on the amateur level as well, do it well. Packy Hanrahan, I can never pronounce his last name, and the Bone family, they do it very well. On the pro side of things, some, especially locally, they do not, or they just don't do it at all. Sure, there's some shows here locally. You have the Down the Lane podcast out of Town and Country, out in, I believe it's Guilderland. Yeah, okay, they do it pretty well. They do it really well. I watch them every week. And they're starting things out with the Players Tour, which is something we're going to talk about in a future episode. But here on the western side of things, Perry lanes, arterial lanes, Starlight lanes, out in Amsterdam. Of course, you have Imperial lanes, Iroquois lanes out a little bit farther west. You don't see a whole lot of social media activity, and that's a crying shame. The future of bowling is streaming. The future of bowling is social media. There's Bowl TV. They do it well with all the PBA qualifying events and pretty much all the events for the PWBA and the PBA 50. YouTube, a huge outlet. You can go on YouTube right now and see tournaments from pretty much anywhere. You can even see league bowling from lots of places. It's not always the greatest quality, but it gets the point across. It gets the point across, and it allows the sport to grow a little bit more by getting a further reach. Every single tournament that's ever put on in the Capital District should be streamed. There, I said it. Every tournament should be streamed. Doesn't matter if it's an 8-pin, no-tap charity tournament or one for big money. It should be streamed. Not streaming tournaments, whether it be live or tape delayed, so to speak, recorded and done later, is a travesty. And it's not utilizing a great tool that's going to help grow the sport. And the sport needs to grow. Let's take a look back 30 years and look at the junior leagues, or the youth leagues, if you will. Perry Lanes had the Junior Classic, which I was in for 1 year, and it had a very full field of bowlers. It also had a bumper league and another junior league along with it for those who weren't in the Classic. Arterial Lanes also had a full league, sometimes had a 9 and 11 o'clock shift or 11:30, whatever it was. I also bowled there too. You're looking at probably 200 to 300 youth bowlers, also if you include Amsterdam, within a 20-minute radius. Now, you have less than 100. And I would say far less than 100 because probably some of those, there's about 35 to 40 that bowl at arterial, and probably less than that are at Perry do both. So some of those do both. So it's far less than it used to be. So you might be asking yourself, what does that matter? Well, it does really matter. Because if you don't have the youth bowlers there to fill in the adult spots when they get older, you're not going to have adult leagues. And if you don't have adult leagues, you're not going to have bowling alleys. And if you don't have bowling alleys, well, the damn sport has gone away. So we need to get the youth back in the game, the youth back in this great sport. And how do we do that? We go to them. We go to the social media side of things. We go to YouTube. We go to whatever else they have, Instagram, TikTok. We go to them. And it starts by streaming all the big events. Doesn't have to be live streaming, like I said. Streaming is very important. I'm trying to gather my words here because it's a topic that I get pretty animated about. I got back into bowling last year with my son, my oldest son. He's now 8, or about to be 8. And what I saw was kind of a kick, right in the kick in the chest here. It's nothing like it used to be. The leagues are much smaller than they used to be, at least on the youth level. The league I bowl in on Tuesday nights at the Arterial Lanes, the Space League, is pretty large and really good. And there's other big, large leagues. But a lot of those bowlers are older. So once they drop out, who's going to replace them? So what we need to do is we need to get these events streamed. Every tournament, like I said, should be streamed. Tape delayed or recorded and edited is the best way because it lets you put in sponsors, it lets you put in more interviews, it lets you clean up mistakes from talking heads like me who may talk too fast. It lets you do voiceovers to make it sound better. It lets you explain things that might have happened that you couldn't do in real time. And it allows you to control what everybody sees. And while I'm not normally a fan of controlling what everybody sees, in this case it's good because you can put the best product possible out there for those young eyes to see. So what are we going to do about it? How are we going to get these things streamed? Well, all the bowling alley representatives, all the owners, the proprietors, all the tournament directors have to get together and consciously work on this. And this is where I come in. Now, this episode is not about me. It's not about what I'm about to offer. It's about doing great things for the sport to help it get back to the level in which it was. Bowling on TV? To be honest with you, not a fan of a lot of it. I do like the PBA, but I love the fact that you can see so much content, so many matches, so many tournaments at a push of a button. It's great, and it's great for the sport. So here's the offer. And yes, I'm taking a deep breath because I want to make sure I articulate this as best as possible. Video can be edited. Sponsors can be added. Tournaments can have their own sponsors. You can sponsor, or you can have sponsors from the bowling alley. You can plug different things from the bowling alley. You can plug the snack bar, the lounge, and the bar. You can plug the pro shop and the bowling alley as a whole. You can have 4 commercials from one bowling alley, one episode. Okay? And this is where I do come in. Because here's my offer. I have cameras. I have microphones. You need, at the minimum, one camera, one microphone, and a volunteer to do it all. And I can do that. I am offering my services to any of the local bowling alleys. Arterial, Starlight, Perry, Imperial, Iroquois, even go out to Schenectady, Sportsman, Boulevard, Town Bowling Academy, or a little farther to the town and country. You have my services. If you have the equipment, call me. I'll come out. I'll be the announcer or the MC or whatever you want to call it. I'll be the play-by-play guy. We can get something done. You want me to videotape it? Or videotape it. Sounds like I'm in the 90s. You want me to record it? Sure, I can record it. I can edit it. I can put it together. I can produce it. I do a lot of producing. I do a lot of announcing. I do a lot of on-air stuff. This is nothing to me. I can do that really quick and easily. And I'll do it for free. That's right. I'll do it for free. At least the first few times. At least for this year. Just to show you how much better things can be if you get your name out there. If you get the sport out there in front of the young eyes who need to see it. So here's what you need to do. Whether you're one of those bowling alleys, whether you're one of the local schools, Gloversville, Johnstown, Mayfield, Amsterdam, Broad Albin, Perth, any of the Schenectady schools, Shalmont, whatever. You have a bowling team, you want some coverage, you want somebody to come out there and video it for you, you want somebody to come out there and put something together so you can showcase it, give me a call. I'll do it for nothing this year. This year, I'm saying. Next year, we'll talk. This year, I'll do it. Why? Because I want this sport to succeed. I'll take away from my own time to come out there and do this for you just to get it out there. And once you get it out there, then we can all sit down and talk and figure out ways to make this more profitable for everybody involved and to figure out how we can get the youth back in the sport even more. So drop me a line right here where you're seeing this. My information is not hard to find. I'll put it out there in the comments below. So make sure you give me a ring if you're interested. And hopefully you are. Because again, this isn't for me. This is for the sport. Our sport needs to grow. Our sport needs to survive. Our sport needs to be on social media. Our sport needs to have everything that I've just talked about here today put out in front of those young eyes just so they can get involved, so they can get interested. And it doesn't matter how we do it. It doesn't matter if we do something huge or something small. It's still a little bit, and it's still something that's going to help. And, I see this on Saturday mornings. when my son's bowling. And kids, they come up, they're doing different things. My son is exactly one of those. He's up there drawing with his friends in between shots. And that's okay. At first, I didn't like it, but you know what? I started thinking. I said, Toby, it's keeping them interested. It's keeping them in the sport. So what's the harm? When I was a kid, you didn't do any of that. You sat down there at the lanes. You might have went up and got a drink or a snack, but you sat there and you watched. And you waited for your turn to bowl. If we have to do little things like this to keep the youth interested, then by all means, let's do it. I've rambled a lot today. Apologize for my rambling. Trying to do this without a script. I'm just reading off a couple of notes and going for it. And that's the way this show is going to be going forward. I'm just going to go for it, say what I'm thinking, and let's see what happens. So I'm serious. Arterial lanes, Starlight lanes, Imperial lanes, Perry lanes. Anybody else? Any schools? Gloversville High School, my alma mater, Johnstown, Mayfield, Broadalm, Perth, Amsterdam. Give me a ring. I'll come out and record your matches. I'll come out and record your tournament. I'll do it for nothing. I'll do the voiceover. I'll do the play-by-play. I'll do it all just to show you how this can help. And let's get our sport back to the top where it belongs. Stay with us. We're going to take a quick break and hear from one of our sponsors. We'll be back with you with segment 2 of the Stump City Bowling Show. Stump City Bowling Show. I'll be back here with segment 2 in just a few moments. One quick note, since I made a little slip there. I started saying the Capital District. The original name of the show was going to be the Capital District Bowling Show, but I changed it to Stump City Bowling Show because Gloversville, where I live and where I'm from, used to be called Stump City. So every once in a while I do slip. It is the Stump City Bowling Show, and this was segment 1. Segment 2 is coming back with a whole lot of news and a trip around the bowling world, so stay tuned.
The flagship show of LaGrange Media Productions, The Toby LaGrange Show, brings you news, opinion, and interviews from the local motorsports scene. But that's not all. The Toby LaGrange Show brings you news and opinion from other sports, and even some from the non-sports world as well. The new season of The Toby LaGrange Show can be found on all of the LaGrange Media Productions social media platforms, including YouTube at LaGrange Media, on Facebook at facebook.com/LaGrange Media Productions, on X, or Twitter if you will, at TJ Dirtvoice, on Instagram at TJ Dirtvoice, and new for 2025 on TikTok at LaGrange Media Productions. Make sure you tune in to the latest episode today. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. Let's now take a trip around the bowling world. It's time for our league wrap-up, where we take a look at some of the leagues around the Western Capital District, primarily in Fulton and Montgomery County. We'll start on December 27th at the Arterial Lanes with the Premier Scratch League. Chris Hostler was your top 3-game series scorer with a 278 game and a 782 series. John Brandy was second with a 290 game and a 761 series. And third was Ryan Aarons with a 269 game and a 743 series. On to the Guys and Dolls League at the Arterial Lanes. On 12/29, Chris Schur led the way with a 701 series and a 264 top game. Josh Purse was second, 679 series and a 258 high game. And Brian Willis was third, a 247 high game with a 675 series. On the ladies' side of things in the Guys and Dolls League, Kelly Rogers was on top with a 216 high game and a 576 series. Barb Barker was second with a 207 high game and a 532 series. And Terry Murray was third with a 190 high game and a 506 series. The Arterial Lanes team won the first half of that league. On to the Perry Lanes out in Johnstown. The Premier Scratch League on December 30th. Steve Holbert and Nikki Bowman both rolled a 947 4-game series. Holbert had a 258 high game and Bowman a 238. Coming in third in the standings was Jacob Billa with a 237 high game and an 879 series. Let's take a look at some local tournaments. First up, the Fulton County Regional USBC Association 8-Pin No-Tap Tournament to be held this Saturday, January 11th at the Arterial Lanes in Gloversville. There'll be 2 shifts, one at noon and one at 3 p.m. Entry fee is $100 per team, a team of 5. For more information, contact the Fulton County Regional USBC or the Arterial Lanes. The second tournament is an in-league tournament, and that's the I'm Fine singles tournament. You'll take your league scores from January 2nd through January 29th. You'll pay a $10 entry fee per entry. You'll turn that entry fee along with your scores in at the end of your league bowling at either Arterial Lanes, Starlight, or Perry. There'll be 2 divisions you can enter, the 3-game scratch or the 3-game handicap, and it goes to a good cause for mental health awareness. So make sure you sign up if you're in a league at Arterial, Starlight, or Perry. I know I'm going to. I'm probably going to do each week and see what happens. So that's a look at local tournaments this week. This will be a regular segment here on the Stump City Bowling Show, and we'll highlight tournaments each and every week. Each week we will have a News from the Pros segment where we take a look at news from around the professional bowling world. Let's take a look at the news this week. Per story written by Jeff Richgels on January 2nd for 11thframe.com, there have been some players switching ball companies over the last few weeks. 2018 PBA Player of the Year Andrew Anderson headlines the ball staff changes for 2025 that have been announced recently. Anderson announced via YouTube that he moved from Motive to 900 Global. Also announcing their switches were PBA Tour champion Matt Russo, going from Deviate to Motive, and PBA Tour players Justin Knowles and Frank Snodgrass, who both moved from Hammer to Rotogrip. Russo, who was a top left-hander in PBA Tour points in 2024 at 7th, had his move announced on Facebook by Motive. Motive Bowling is proud to welcome Matt Russo to our PBA Tour team for the upcoming season. They said, Russo, the dynamic two-handed lefty, is a 2-time PBA Tour champion and 9-time member of Team USA. The 2020 PBA Rookie of the Year jumped levels last year and plans to continue that progress with Motive with his multi-year contract. Knowles is a powerful left-hander who finished 20th in points in 2024 and is widely considered one of the rising stars on the PBA Tour. Snodgrass had an agonizing 14th place finish at the PBA Tour Trials in August, finishing 10 pins out of the 12th and final exemption spot. Life has been going great, though, as Snodgrass recently married 2023 PWPA Tour Player of the Year, Jordan Richard, who he joins on the Rotogrip staff. PBA Tour player Cody Schumacher announced his move to Motive from Storm via Facebook post, and Ethan Fiore, a young player on the PBA Tour, said via Facebook post that he is moving to Motive from Rotogrip. By the time you see this episode, the 2025 Team USA trials will have been completed. You can watch the entire event on Bowl TV. Also by now, the rosters for the new version of the PBA League, dubbed the PBA League Battle of the Brands, will be released, also on Bowl TV. More on both these news items next week. The PBA Nevada Classic to honor Mike Albee. This one written by Nolan Hughes for PBA.com. The PBA career of Mike Albee began with a Christmas gift. He said his parents paid his expenses to compete in the 1979 Showboat Invitational. The 18-year-old soon made the long trek from his home in Indiana to Nevada for his first PBA Tour event, commencing what would become a Hall of Fame career. This spring, Albee, who's now 64, will again make the cross-country trip to Nevada, this time for the Mike Albee PBA Nevada Classic in Reno. It's quite an honor, Albee said. I appreciate Tom Clark's faith in me. I don't have the skills to bowl anymore, so it will be great to watch and be part of it. Mike's remarkable accomplishments and dedication to the sport both on and off the lanes make him a living legend, PBA Tour Commissioner Tom Clark said. His presence and name on the trophy will add an immeasurable level of prestige to this event. The Mike Albee PBA Nevada Classic will be held February 25th through 28th at Coconut Bowl at Wild Island. The finals will be held March 15th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time at Reno's National Bowling Stadium and will air live on FS1. Debuting following the U.S. Open presented by Go Bowling on February 2nd, the LaGrange Media Productions PBA and PWBA Power Rankings will be a weekly part of the Stump City Bowling Show. Each week in this segment of the show, you will see the updated rankings for both the PBA and the PWBA. The LaGrange Media Productions PBA and PWBA Power Rankings are a fun way to see who's on top of their game in the professional ranks. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Stump City Bowling Show. Be sure to share this episode all over social media. This has been a production of the Grange Media Productions.